boxing, please watch Mr. Heavyweight Boxing today.
Heavyweight boxing fans, what's the deal? Now, I just want to give my opinion on this topic. This is solely my opinion, man. All right, now, when I hear fans say we have to let the fight build, okay, I understand what that means. That means we're trying to, on a monetary basis, we're trying to, both combatants, we want them to make the most money possible, draw as much attention to the fight, to the event as possible. I understand that. My thing about that is this, though. On one hand, as fans, we like to say boxing has changed, boxing has changed, boxing has changed. The business aspect has changed. We live in a transparent world with social media. That's true. So if it's changed, let the fight build, in my opinion, has changed over the years also with the introduction of social media. All right, this is not the Ring magazine, Boxing Digest, KO magazine days of boxing. We're not waiting for monthly subscriptions or waiting solely for boxing telecasts to happen and pay-per-views. Social media. I mean, for example, and I'm very small as far as my YouTube channel, the YouTube channels that are on here on YouTube. And when I say small, I don't have, 50,000 subscribers or anything like that, 20,000 subscribers. I'm not there yet. But what I will say is a lot of fans, even some casuals, they come to YouTube and see what's going on. They go to Boxing Scene and Fight News, regardless of what you think of those websites or if they have biased journalists or whatever. Cool. But social media has taken over. So as far as letting fights build, we talking about these fights every single day with other fans across the world, across the country, wherever you are. Every day we're talking about this. So in my opinion, for a fight to get talked about in the social media era for 12 straight months, to me, that's equal to like back in the 80s or 90s or something, a fight being talked about for a few years. The word is out there. You mean to tell me Anthony Joshua and Deontay Wilder, and I know Wilder's hurt, so I'm just hypothetically speaking, but when before Wilder got hurt against Arreola, before that fight happened, he was calling out Anthony Joshua for a fight late December. People are saying, no, let's let that, some fans on my page were saying, no, let's let that fight build. And I'm sitting here scratching my head like, dude, Anthony Joshua, I know he doesn't have 20 fights yet, but he has one of the titles. And look, man, once you get a title, the learning curve and still trying to learn and all that, to me, that goes out the window as far as your opponent selection. You need to get your learning done in sparring. You need to get world-class sparring and stay in condition and do that. But as far as your opposition, it has to go up. It has to raise, man, because you have a title. We can't keep the title hostage while you're still learning. Like, once you opted to fight for that title, you have to take on the responsibilities of being a title holder, man. And I'm not saying that Joshua doesn't want that because he has the title. So he's looking for these big fights, Pulev and guys that are pulling out of, that don't want fights with him, avoiding fights. And they wanted Stavern and a few other guys. But what I'm saying is Anthony Joshua, right? He is popular, man. His fight with Dillian Whyte, it was a good domestic fight. It drew a lot of interest worldwide, not just the UK, but they sold 400,000 pay-per-views, man. Now, some of you are going to hit me with the counter with, well, the pay-per-views in the UK are a lot less than they are in the US. Cool, but still 400,000 people tune in. Here in the US, I'm going to be honest with you, man. Majority of fans here, we're stingy with our money when it comes to pay-per-views. Look at some of the big names as far as popular fighters around and look at how some of their pay-per-views have done. And tell me, besides Mayweather and Pacquiao, the days of million pay-per-views and that type of shit to me is going to be close to over with. You know what I mean? This isn't the Holyfield, Tyson, Lennox Lewis days, not the De La Hoya days. It's just not that type of era right now as far as pay-per-view sales. Same thing going on in the music industry with selling records. Remember when multi-platinum and platinum, that was like a huge success. Now these dudes are talking about, it's cool if I sell 100,000 because of bootlegging and the internet and so on and so forth, man. But That's how I look at pay-per-views and letting fights build. We know who these guys are, man. Anthony Joshua sold 400,000 with Dillian White in the UK. Then he sold, what, 700,000 with Charles Martin? You mean to tell me if you put Anthony Joshua versus Deontay Wilder, let's say they do the pay-per-view and they have it in the UK. Let's just say that happens. That's going to do probably 2 million pay-per-views in the UK, in my opinion. Joshua versus Wilder in a unification fight. I think that could possibly do 2 million, probably 1.5, 2 million pay-per-views. If he can do 700,000, I believe it was 700,000 with Charles Martin. It was either Martin or the Brazil. I think it was Martin though. But I know he did 400K with White. You put him in there with Wilder, unification, 2 undefeated fighters, big heavy hitters. The whole world knows about these guys that watch boxing, that follow the heavyweight division. Come on, man. If you have it here in the U.S., I would pay for that fight. And knowing Eddie Hearn, and if he was to work with Wilder's people, they would try to put a good undercard together, probably give us some more heavyweight fights. I like Eddie Hearn's approach as far as some of these undercards that he's coming up with when he has Anthony Joshua as the headliner. Because now I'm hearing him talk about, you know, Dillian White and Derek Chisora on the undercard. I even heard him say, did he say Shannon Briggs and Price? But we all know that he wanted Joseph Parker versus Price for this upcoming November 26th undercard. But there's a lot going on with that. Joseph Parker might end up getting his shot on November 26th. But I just like Hearn's approach as far as on the undercard putting other good heavyweight fights on there. You know what I mean? So I think the let it build era, man. I mean, still you want fights to build up somewhat, at least. And I remember back in the day where guys would fight on the same card, you know what I mean? Or say if it was a HBO or Showtime or some telecast, if they had 2 marquee names that were potentially going to fight each other, they'll air both fights, just their main events, one after the other from different venues, or, you know, set up something like that. You know what I mean? But, and then let's get that fight underway. We don't need to make a 1.5, 2 years to see a damn unification fight, man. Remember, boxing has changed. And it's changed in a lot more ways than just business and the money. I don't think we need to sit around for 2 years, man, to watch a unification fight, man. In 2 years, the division should be undisputed. Not waiting for the first unification fight, especially if it's a division that has the titles all over the place. But I understand, though, letting it build somewhat. I'm not saying every case is different, man. You know, every case is different. Like Canelo and the Golovkin situation I see going on. They're talking about some September, 2017, I believe. Like, I quit even paying attention. Once I heard that far away, it's like, dude, you just said something. You were having a different tune when you fought Cotto. At least his team did. So, you know, I just quit paying attention to that. If they do fight, I'm going to tune in now. Don't get me wrong. I'm going to tune in. But as far as following it and letting it build, I don't want to do that. I'm sorry. I just don't have the patience for it. Especially not in this era, man. We've been talking about these fights. Tyson Fury versus Joshua, nothing needs to build. I'm speaking mainly heavyweights right now, but nothing really needs to build. We know who these guys are. Social media, every guy now, there's some guys that are more popular than others, but we can't sit here and wait for this fighter to get as popular as Joshua so we can let it build. No, Joshua's just going to be more popular than some guys. Mike Tyson is just more popular than some of the guys that he fought. You know what I mean? So we don't need to let shit build no more, man. Not to the degree that some fans that I disagree with. Now, some of you going to disagree with me, and I'm curious to listen to whatever you have to say in the comment section, man. But to me, we're in a new era, whether it's for better or for the worse. Things have changed, and I think some of the things that have changed is social media. When you have guys like me and all the uploaders on here on YouTube who talk about these guys and promote their fights and their careers on our YouTube channels. Every day these guys are getting talked about. We are on here accumulating thousands of views daily, combined millions of views daily. It's boxing uploaders on YouTube, along with all the websites to put out content. This isn't the Ring Magazine, you know, KO Magazine days, man. It's not. Who wants to sit around and wait for 2-3 years for Joshua versus Wilder? Ortiz versus Fury or whoever. Really? Who wants to wait around that long for fights that just should be made? So then in the meantime, who the hell they going to fight? If everybody wants to let shit build and we have 10, 12 heavyweights running around trying to, you know, play it safe. Come on, man. Then you guys are just going to complain about he's fighting a bum. He's fighting a bum. He's fighting a bum. He's fighting a bum. And then as soon as he calls out, as soon as one of the guys call out the other champion, oh, no. Let's let that build. You know, that's me building in the background. Let's let it build. Come on, man. Now let's put down the hammers and let's put down the toolbox, man. Let's let these dudes get in the ring and put on their gloves and let them build inside the ring. That's what I want to see, man. Just my opinion on this. I'm out.